First, let me thank profusely Tom Lantos and John Porter. They are the official co-chairmen of the Human Rights Caucus, and they allowed us to have this hearing today. And we'll be hearing from both of them, and Congressman John Porter is to my left over here. And let's hear a round of applause. My extreme right, you have Congressman Broomfield. Congressman Broomfield is a ranking Republican member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, and there will be a hearing to look at a resolution that we have on this issue sometime this year. To my left again, or left of Congressman Porter, we have Congressman Henry Hyde, who also was at the hearing last year, and we'll be hearing from him, and thank you for being here, Congressman. Congressman Dan Burton from Indiana, thank you for being here. Congressman Frank Wolf, and during the course of the day, we're going to be having Congressman Dannemeyer, as you see, had to leave already, and hopefully he'll be back after he does what he has to at a particular hearing he has. And I've gotten commitments from Congressman Dornan, Trafficant, also Senators Dole. Well, Senator Dole is as you know, was in Texas last night. He won't be here, but he has sent a statement. And Senator Simon has also sent a statement, but he may show up. He's in Maryland now, and he may be coming shortly. Well, let's get on with the hearing then. I'm going to make an opening statement and then ask Congressman Lantos and Porter to say a few words, make a statement, and then we'll have the first panel. On behalf of the Human Rights Caucus, I would like to thank everyone for joining us today as we investigate the problem of human rights abuses committed against ethnic Albanians living in the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. The timeliness of this hearing is heightened by events occurring in Yugoslavia this week, as Yugoslav authorities have sent a special paramilitary unit into the predominantly Albanian province of Kosovo. By some counts, this armed assault includes as many as 4,000 soldiers. Unlike the account that we heard this morning, we're not sure what the number is, but it ranges somewhere between 380 and 4,000 at this point. The military response typifies the attitude of the Yugoslav government towards the region of Kosovo and the Albanians that live there. In 2 words, their attitude has been hostile and abusive. While there are many good reasons for this committee to voice its strong concerns regarding the present situation in Yugoslavia, my feelings are especially strong because I, too, am an ethnic Albanian, and I am proud of it. In fact, I can still remember the times as a little boy when my grandmother, my father, and my aunts would try to teach me Albanian phrases and sayings that they had learned from their forefathers and foremothers. The Albanian community is a proud community, and they are looking to us here in the United States to rectify the poor conditions of treatment that their brothers and sisters face in Yugoslavia today. As a leader of the free world, the United States Congress has rightfully taken a lead in recognizing and working towards eradicating human rights abuses wherever they may be in the world. We have fought for the rights of blacks in South Africa, for Jews in the Soviet Union, for Catholics in Northern Ireland, and for the Polish workers. It is time that we in Congress focus the American people's same attention on the atrocities that are taking place right now in Yugoslavia, and the fight for rights of ethnic Albanians as well. The following are just a few examples of what is now taking place in Yugoslavia. 1. There is evidence that several thousand Albanians have been arrested by the Yugoslav government for merely expressing their views in a nonviolent manner. 2. Several hundred ethnic Albanians have been killed in communal violence and in the attempt of the Yugoslav government's efforts to curtail that. 3. Amnesty International, and we'll hear from them a little later on, has published allegations of torture and assassination of ethnic Albanians in exile by the Yugoslav secret police. Senators Bob Dole, Paul Simon, and Congressman Lantos and I have introduced legislation in the House and Senate expressing our deep concern over these conditions. Furthermore, My resolution was introduced in the House with more than 50 bipartisan sponsors, original co-sponsors. It is my belief that this hearing, along with passage of our resolution by both chambers, will send a very strong message to the Yugoslav government that their actions will no longer be tolerated by the United States, and that these blatant violations of basic human rights must be brought to an end. In fact, to send an even stronger signal today, as an insurance measure, several of us plan to introduce a bill today that would revoke Yugoslavia's most favored nation trading status with the United States, so long as these human rights abuses against ethnic Albanians persist. Our panel today includes distinguished members of the Albanian American community, a representative of Amnesty International, and a noted Yugoslavian dissident. The diversity and quality of the panel will enable us to get a very good picture of the situation in Yugoslavia, and that's what this hearing is all about. We want to raise the awareness of the American people that ethnic Albanians are being treated very poorly by a country that benefits from trading with us. We all know the number of Yugos that are coming in the automobile to this country today, and I dare say that Yugoslavia is selling us more cars today than we're selling it. Now, we are in a global economy. Basically, we don't have a problem conceptually with worldwide trade. But when a country trades with us and benefits from our economic system and still abuses people, then we are in effect subsidizing that. And that is not what this country is all about. We have a worldwide standard when it comes to people, when it comes to human rights, civil rights, economic rights of all people. And when a country benefits from our great capitalistic system by selling us goods, we cannot subsidize any human rights violations in that country. Before concluding my remarks, again I would like to give my very special thanks to my colleagues, Congressman Lantos and Porter, for all they are doing with this Human Rights Caucus to raise the public awareness levels and congressional awareness levels of human rights violations all over the world. Today we'll be speaking about ethnic Albanians, but I have to tell you, I've witnessed the work that these two gentlemen have performed in exposing human rights violations all over the world, and you'll be hearing from them shortly. I know that I speak for all freedom-loving individuals when I say that their tireless efforts are appreciated by millions of free people all over the world. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to have to hold the applause till the end because I know you're going to hear a lot of things that you like. And if we keep applauding, you won't hear everything that you're going to want to hear. Because we only have so much time, but we do appreciate your enthusiasm. We've been joined by Congressman Traficant here from Ohio, and also by Congressman Ben Gilman, who's also on the Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman Gilman, thank you for coming. I'd like to now turn to Congressman Lantos for a statement. Bill, thank you so much for coming. And then to Congressman
Well, we are anxious to hear from our witnesses, so I'll be very brief. Let me first say that this hearing came about because of the leadership of Congressman DioGuardi, who has been a champion of your cause, and I think he deserves the thanks of all of us who are concerned with human rights everywhere. Let me say a word to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, because you are interested in ethnic Albanians, about the Human Rights Caucus. Because one of the values of this meeting, I hope, is not just that you will have your case presented, but that you understand that the Congress of the United States, on a fully bipartisan basis, is committed to observing human rights anywhere on the face of this planet. Our concern is that the human rights of Tibetans is honored by China, that the human rights of Christians is honored in Siberia, that the human rights of Baha'i is honored in Iran, that the human rights of ethnic Albanians is honored in Yugoslavia. One of the most interesting things that I learned from Ambassador Schifter's observation is that a large number of ethnic Albanians are in prison for what is called a verbal crime. Now, a verbal crime is not a customary expression in the English language. We call it free speech. And one of the things that we are concerned with is that ethnic Albanians in Yugoslavia be given all of the privileges and all of the rights that they are entitled to in view of Yugoslavia having signed the Helsinki Accords that give all people living in Yugoslavia all fundamental human rights. Congressman DioGuardi stated that he's proud of his Albanian heritage. He's proud of his Albanian heritage with good reason. The Albanian people through centuries have contributed immeasurably to the wealth and richness of the complex continent that we know as Europe. And it is a function of the Congress of the United States to see to it that ethnic Albanians have the right to carry on that tradition, to sing their songs and teach their language in their schools to their children, so that long after all of us will be gone, there will be a proud, self-respecting Albanian community in that part of the world, continuing to make its contributions for the benefit of all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Congressman Ryan, for those very good words. Congressman Ford.
Thank you, Joe. Let me begin by thanking my colleagues Henry Hyde and Dan Burton, Frank Wolf, Bill Broomfield, Jim Traficant, and Ben Gilman for joining us on the panel today. They will continue to make the kinds of contributions to the observances of human rights that they have made throughout their careers in the Congress, and we thank them and admire the work that they're doing. Most especially, however, I'd like to thank Joe DioGuardi for his leadership on this issue, for his becoming a member of the Executive Committee of the Congressional Human Rights Caucus. And although I can't claim to be an ethnic Albanian, and frankly, Joe, I thought your heritage was Italian until just very recently.
And it's also American. First and foremost.
I hope that it is clear to everyone here that the Congressional Human Rights Caucus cares about every individual on this earth, and that they are accorded their basic human rights, whether it's in Yugoslavia or, as Tom said, in Tibet or in the Soviet Union or anywhere, and that we look upon that obligation as a very high and important one, and we want to focus the attention of the world as much as we possibly can upon every area of the world where human rights are being abused. Joe is doing that here, providing leadership for all of us, drawing our attention as it ought to be to what is happening in Yugoslavia, the people of Albanian descent. And Joe, we really admire your leadership, and you're taking that leadership and bringing it so forcefully home to the people, not only here but around this country and hopefully across the world. Yugoslavia is anxious to have a positive economic relationship with the United States, as Joe said and as Tom said. And I think the word should go forth from this room that that positive relationship depends in large part upon how they treat people at home, particularly people of ethnic Albanian descent. And that if it is not going to be according to those people their rights to assemble, their rights to speak, their rights to equal treatment under the law, then they can look forward to no good relationship with the United States. That's the word we should be sending to them. But I certainly appreciate all of your coming this morning, all of the members of Congress being here to hear the testimony, and Joe, most particularly, your great leadership.
The focus of this meeting, though, is the fact that the government of Yugoslavia seems to be bringing great pain to a large ethnic minority, the Albanians in Yugoslavia. And this has come to us from the Helsinki Commission, has come to us from Amnesty International, and we'll be hearing very shortly now from someone who has some facts to put on the table as well. I don't want to give anyone the impression that we're having this meeting because we want to see the country of Yugoslavia go down the tube. We want to make it better. We want to make it better for all the people that are in Yugoslavia. That is why that we have this meeting here today, to send a very strong signal to the Yugoslavian government that we want to help them stabilize their economy, stabilize their relationships with all their minority groups and their people, so that we can deal with them. We understand that geopolitically Yugoslavia is not unimportant to us in that part of the world. So the issue here is not to beat up on Yugoslavia, but it's to make the American people and Congress aware that there are gross human rights violations on ethnic Albanians, and there may be others, and you have mentioned some that I may not have been aware of, and we may have a hearing on the way they persecute others. But today the focus has to be on the ethnic Albanians because we've seen so much, and even this week with the troops being moved in. You know, I was surprised to find out just the other day that only 2 nations in the Eastern Bloc have most favored nation status with the United States, and they are Poland and Yugoslavia. That is a very special privilege for a country to have with us, because we know that Yugoslavia has an economy which is not too good, and they depend very much on exporting things here, especially the cars that I see more and more, the Yugos. And as I said before, in and of itself, there's nothing wrong with that, because we should compete on a global basis with the rest of the world. But I think it's important that we send the strong signal that we're sending today by putting in this bill to remove most favored nation status, as we've recently done with Romania. Because what is happening, and what we're told by Amnesty International, by Helsinki, goes to the very root of what this country is all about. So I'm hoping that the Yugoslav government is hearing today. I assume there are ways for them to get the message. If they don't get it from within this room, they will certainly get it when I put the bill in the House floor, and I'm going to encourage congressmen like Congressman Dornan to go on the floor with me and do some 1-minute speeches so that we can get this on television for the American public outside of this room, because I want the Yugoslav government to know that this cannot continue. And if, for some reason, there is any retaliation against any of the witnesses in this room, or anybody that's in this room today has, for any coincidence or for some strange reason, any kind of violence perpetrated on them, that these congressmen that we hear today, and I think there were at least 12 or maybe 13, are going to just step up their efforts. That violence will not work in this country. That they have to now take the signal to start treating people appropriately, and that we want to help them. We want Yugoslavia to be strong. We don't want that government to be weak. We think it's an important government, geopolitically. But it's time that they take this strong signal and work with us so that we can make sure that everybody in that country is treated fairly. And one of the things that I would like to, again, and I said this before on radio, and I'm sure that the Yugoslav government heard this. I think I mentioned it to the Yugoslav ambassador personally when he called me, and he calls me from time to time, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to hear from him again very soon because of this hearing. And I'm going to, again, let him know that one of the first things that he should do as a sign of the goodwill of the government of Yugoslavia is to immediately release Adam Demici, who is now being held. Who's been in jail for so long, at least 25 years, and 28, and it seems to me that that would be a humanitarian act. I understand he's almost blind, and Lord knows what else is wrong. And it would be a very strong signal to us here in Washington, just as it was last year when we had the hearing, and a day later they released Peter Adeze, when it was threatened that we would take away most favored nation status. Well, there it was only threatened, and the next day they released them, and no one put in the bill. I am putting in the bill today. That doesn't mean that the most favored nation status is going to be removed tomorrow or the next day. But we're going to get as many congressmen on this bill as possible, and I'd be prepared to withdraw it anytime I see positive, constructive acts by the government of Yugoslavia, because we don't want to see that country hurt economically. We want them to benefit from trade from us. But we have to protect the constitutional rights of our people and their people, and it's their constitution that's being violated as well. I said before, we stand on one worldwide standard internationally when it comes to human rights. I just would like to say two more quick things. I took a wonderful trip this summer, and I took my children with me. My son, John, who's 14, and my daughter, Karen, who's 16. And we're very proud that we're Americans. We're very proud that we have an Italian heritage, and we're very, very proud that we have an ethnic Albanian heritage. And as I say, my father, before he died, spoke fluent Albanian, and in some ways tried to get me to speak Albanian, and I speak just a little bit. But I wanted my kids to see the town that my father was born in. He came here as a very poor immigrant from Italy in 1929 during the Depression. And we went, and it was an amazing experience to go to this little town just outside of Avellino, in the Avellino district outside of Naples. And it was I'm told it's the highest mountain in that area, and it seemed like we were climbing forever to get there. But finally, when we reached the top, here is a village called Greci that's been there for over 400 years, where the ethnic Albanian culture survives still today. They are more comfortable speaking Albanian than they are Italian, and they speak Italian both. Well, my children were so fascinated by this that they immediately became interested in their Albanian roots. And I am now trying to teach them some words. And one of the things that I promised, because we found the house that my father was born in. As a matter of fact, my son found on the wrought iron railing the inscription GD, which was Giuseppe DioGuardi. My father was Giuseppe, his father was Nicola, but his grandfather was Giuseppe. And this house was built in 1879. We found these stone because his father was the master carpenter of the town. And I am now trying to find my cousin, third cousin, who lives in Rome, who owns the house, so I can buy it and make it into kind of a museum for my family to remember their Albanian heritage over there. Now, if that is not enough, I go to dinner. This is an extraordinary coincidence, and I don't care whether you're Greek Orthodox, Muslim, or Roman Catholic. I know Albanians are all three. But God was on our shoulders that day because a priest happened to be in the restaurant right near Greci when I went in, and I thought he was an Albanian priest. I went up to him, and I said, "Do you live in Greci?" He said no, but it was obvious he had a collar. He was Greek Orthodox, but he was ethnic Albanian, and he tours southern Italy. His whole purpose in life now is to keep the Albanian culture alive in Italy. There are 300,000 Albanians. They call them our Grecian Italy. In many towns. I did not know there were so many. His name is Father Belushi. He is now sending me his magazines. I have now got them registered in the Library of Congress because he could not do them. And he writes them in Albanian and Italian. And I expect to go back because I'm going to raise money for Father Belushi so we can continue to go to all these Albanian towns to record the older people with their folklore, with their songs, so we can create a heritage for the Albanian culture in Italy. And I understand there are also 200,000 Albanians in Greece, and obviously there are so many Albanians in Yugoslavia. So I'm going to do what I can to be a bridge between this country and ethnic Albanians no matter where they are, and maybe some of you will come with us, so we can keep the Albanian culture alive, not only in Yugoslavia, but also in Italy and in Greece. And one more thought. One more thought. We went from Italy to Turkey because Turkey is an important country to this country and the world. Just look at the map of Turkey and you'll see the longest border with the Soviet Union, Iraq, Iran, Syria. So it's very important geopolitically for what's going on. And as you know, we have bases over there. But one thing I did not know, but I heard, but it was proven to me when I went this, I met with the Prime Minister, who, believe it or not, is half Albanian. His mother's Albanian. And I didn't realize how many Albanians are in Turkey, the generals. Many, 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 and they have such great respect. Now, Mr. Bahadur, you mentioned the honesty of Albanians. Something I was told that I have to relate here. I asked the Prime Minister about how ethnic Albanians got to Turkey, and he explained to me that if Turks and Albanians are very close, and he said that when the Sultan was in power, the only ones he would trust to be his guards were Albanians because he knew he could trust them. And they always have exhibited strong feelings of pride, of loyalty, and honesty. And that is what I hear today from the Prime Minister of Turkey. And now I understand why so many people are in this room today. You have integrity, you have honesty, you want to keep faith with your past and with your people, and that's why the Constitution of the United States is here to protect you as well. And I'm just delighted.